As the great 80s band Whitesnake once said, here I go again. Hello electric vehicle fans, Mark here with another installment of My EV Life. And I'm back at it here at Pismo Beach. Couldn't stay away, and of course I brought the Rivian R1T truck. So as you saw in my last video, soft sand driving at Pismo Beach, there's all sorts of nuggets I can share on tips for driving in these conditions, what gear do you bring, give you some footage, and I'm not going to reuse any of that and give you all new stuff today. Now I will spend the first 30 seconds reminding you of some of the settings on the Rivian R1T truck, but then we'll get right into the new stuff. And here's what I want to cover. One, I have some new tire deflators. Much faster, much easier to use, and I can't wait to show them to you. Two is we're going to attach a safety flag to the vehicle. I didn't have this last time, and I need that in order to go into the back area. And I'm going to show you where on the Rivian R1T truck do I attach that. Three, I've got a couple additional safety gear items I'll show you. I've got some soft shackles, I've got a shackle hitch receiver that goes in the back of the truck, and I have a kinetic recovery rope. And then after all that's in place, we're going to head into the back area of the Oceano Dunes State Vehicular Recreation Area, and we'll get into the true sand dunes, the area where most vehicles are not recommended to venture. And while we're back there, I'll show you what it looks like, which is just miles and miles of open sand dunes. I'll try to get some footage of the truck back there performing. Maybe we'll even get the back end to drift out a little bit. We'll have some fun kicking up some sand. Whoa! And I'm going to also try to see how this truck can accelerate from 0 to whatever by flooring it in the soft sand in a couple different modes, because back there, there's no speed limit. I can go as fast as I want. So that's my plan. So let's get into it. So to get the truck ready to drive in the soft sand, we're going to go ahead and change the settings here on the control panel. So let's go ahead and get into off-road mode, specifically soft sand mode. We'll go here, go off-road, yes. And are you in soft sand? Yes, I am. So right now it has made the adjustments to the driving mode, but it's also raising up the truck. And we can even say, you know what, I want to go highest today. So I'm going to go all the way up to the highest ride height today. So the air suspension right now is lifting the vehicle. If you were outside looking at the tires, you would see it right now. It's slowly raising. It takes about 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds, and then we'll be ready. Now I'm going to head back outside and air down those tires. So we're airing the tires down now, but we're going to do things a little bit differently. The last time I was here, in my last video, I used one of these, which is a tire gauge and deflator. But it's primarily a tire gauge, and the deflation button here, very slow. So we're going to do things quite a bit differently. I got a product here I'm going to try, and these tire deflators are somewhat automatic in the sense that you attach these to each tire and you can walk away hands-free and it deflates it to a preset PSI. All right, so now listen, before I show you these are made by a company called Stawn, and I am in no way compensated by that company to talk about this product. I bought these with my own money. They were $99. I got them on their website. I'm not incented to say anything positive or negative, but I just thought this would be a great product to show, so I'm going to try them for the first time here today. Let me show you what they look like. All right, so you get 4 of these. They look like this. All right, now you don't leave these on the truck for the whole day. You just use them to deflate, and then you put them back in the pouch, and this is what they look like. Now they come in different sizes. The size that I got here, these are going to go anywhere between 8 and 30 psi, and I'm going to go to 30. They actually come preset to 18, but I'm going to show you how you know the difference. There's no markings on here that show you the pressure settings. You just have to know how to do this. This is a side that goes into the tire, so we'll just pretend that's on the tire there. Now, the closer this is to the tire, the higher the PSI will be. So this is 30 right here. If you dial it all the way down and get further away from the tire, that's headed towards the other end, which is 8 PSI. All right, so we're doing 30. That's really easy. We know that these max out at 30, so they just all have to be all the way in, and that's 30. And you see right here, that's set at 30, that's set at 30, and this one is not. This is preset from the factory, so this one must be around 18. And move that one all the way in, and that'll tell me that's at 30. Now what you can also do is, I won't cover this today, but you can pick a number like 15, you can deflate the tire to 15 with using your gauge, and then there's a way you can dial this in so you know that it's going to be exactly at 15. But I'll do that on another video. All right, so let's put this on and see what happens here. Let's screw that on. All right, there it goes. Now I'm going to put these on the other 4 tires. All right, so all 4 of them are going. You can hear hissing coming from all 4 tires. And I'm timing this right now. This should come to a stop any second now. Ah, here we go, it stopped. And I can hear the other one stopping too. So that should be at 30 PSI. Let's test it. All right, so let's take it off and let's take our tire gauge here and see how close we are to 30. Look at that, right at 30, they work. Excellent, I'll test the other 4 tires, but I think we're good to go. I like it. So I would say these deflators are a success. It only took 1 minute and 40 seconds per tire. Plus you can get all 4 tires going at once. Walk around, take them off when you're done. I mean, in and out, it's only gonna take you about 3-4 minutes to deflate your tires. So I think that was worth the $99. All right, so if you're gonna be down here at Oceano Sand Dunes, they do have a rule that you have to have a flag on your vehicle if you're gonna go in the back area. And that flag has to be 8 feet above the ground on your vehicle. And it also has some regulations on the size of the flag. It's supposed to be, I think, 9 by 12 inches. It should be orange or red. Now, I had a really hard time finding that exact flag dimensions at home in the Bay Area. I called around down here. I couldn't really find a place that had it, but I did find one at the gas station this morning, and it looks like this. I got the American flag on it. This meets the regulations for the size. I have the orange at the very top. This actually meets the regulations for the color. And I did talk to a park ranger and she said this will be just fine. And this will be more than 8 feet above the vehicle when we attach it. So here's my flag. Now there are some people who attach the flag here on the toe spots, the toe points. Some people drill something into the front. I had no interest in doing either of those. It would probably scratch up the front of the vehicle. I have seen somebody attach something into the wheel well that sticks out and the flag comes out right there. That's sort of an option. And another thing you could consider is you can attach it to the back of the vehicle on the tow hitch. And I'll show you that area a little bit later in the video, but you know, that also is going to slap around and hit the vehicle. And it's also a lower point. So my solution, the one I'm going to go with, is I want to attach my flag to these bars. I mean, we already have a great, strong system in place to attach something to, the Yakima bar system. Now, Yakima has a rack system that has these things called T-slot bolts that I could get and slides into the track, and that would allow me to attach something to that bolt, and I could make some kind of platform that attaches to that bolt. However, I didn't order those bolts fast enough, so I had to make something special, something custom. And so here's what I have here. I got a little apparatus that was made by a friend of mine, Yuri. He has a fantastic shop in the East Bay of San Francisco called Metalmorphic. Now, I only gave him about 15 minutes to put this together, but I'll show you how this is going to work for me this weekend. And the approach we're going to do is to attach something right here because we can have something on the underside to clamp it and secure it. And let me show you what we put together for that. Now, I already had one of these right here. I got this for $9.99 on Amazon. It came in 24 hours. This is a flag holder, and it's meant to bolt on to something, okay? And so I already had that. And so what we put together, if I just take this off here, is a system where this will go on top, the bolt will come through, and because the area underneath is curved, we have a pipe that goes on like this, and that's going to secure us to the very end of the Yakima rack. Let me show you what that looks like. All right, so this will go on the top here, and notice obviously I put some rubber pads on there, some glue-on pads. That's going to go down. It's going to go through this tube, which also has pads on it. Let me flip it around. Hold on, so there we go. And then put this bolt on here, and I'll tighten that. All right, so this is really secure. This is not budging. So we're on pretty tight. Now I'll take the flag that I bought this morning at the gas station on the way down here, and I'll put it right in here. We'll be good to go. All right. Okay, so when you're ordering the flag holders, they come in 5/16 and 1/4, I think are the common sizes. I got the most common, which is 5/16. When I had called the gas station, they said they had 5/16, but check it out. It's not 5/16, it's 1/4. So we're here, we want to go out and play, and this is just too big. No matter how much I tighten it, this flag will not get cinched down, so we're going to have to use duct tape for the final piece. So in my last video, I shared the gear you wanted to take with you when you're driving in the soft sand, and I brought some extra gear to be extra ready this time. So now in the event that I need to be towed out, or I need to tow somebody else out of a bad situation, I've got a couple of extra things here. I've got this hitch right here, so that'll be ready for me to attach a rope. I'm going to put this on now just in case, you know, I'm in trouble and I need to move quickly or need to go help somebody. I'll already have this set up. So I'll show you how this goes in. And if you haven't seen the hitch area of the Rivian, it's actually concealed, and I'm going to take this plate off and show you how you get to it. We'll put this on, it just takes a few seconds. Then the other thing I have with me now this time is actual rope. Now, you have options when you buy rope. We could talk about this for an hour, but I would just highly recommend you consider this kind of rope instead of the strap. This is considered a kinetic rope, and that is because it will stretch significantly, up to 30%, when you do that snag, when you go to tow somebody out of something. That puts a lot less strain on both vehicles. It's also a lot safer. So this is a kinetic rope. I ended up going with 30 feet. You can get 20 feet, but 30 feet gives you more options to deal with situations. And I went with the 7/8 inch thickness. So that's my kinetic rope. And they also recommend, and I've watched a lot of YouTube videos to figure this out, going with the soft shackles instead of metal. These are also safer. They're very strong. By the way, this can handle, I think, up to 28,000 pounds. So again, we could talk about straps and shackles for an hour, but in essence, I've got this ready to go. I'm sure I'm not going to use it today, but we'll go ahead and put the hitch on right now, and I'll show you that. Okay, so to remove this plate, which covers the tow hitch, you got to get underneath, and there's 2 screws here. It's really easy. Let me show you. So you only got to do like a 1/4 of a turn here, 1/4 of a turn here, and this just pops out like this. There it is. There's the plastic plate that covers the tow hitch. And there we got it. So we'll slide that in here. Get our pin in. I happen to get a pin that's a locking pin, so we'll just go like that. That's not going anywhere. All right, we're all set just in case we need to tow. Now we're leaving the comfort of the beach and headed officially into the Oceano Dunes State Vehicular Recreation Area. And the truck has no problem getting back here. There's no real risk of getting stuck, even though every once in a while you can hit a real deep spot. But with the 4 independent motors, the 830 horsepower, the smart traction control, I'd have to go out of my way or really stop paying attention to get stuck here. All right, I'll show you where we are on the map. So I've got the satellite view here on the navigation. Let's go ahead and pan back a little bit. You see kind of where we are for reference of where we're playing around here today. And you can see as I pan around how wide open it is here. Not a lot of people around, plenty of space to try something, and also there's no speed limit here. So this is a place you go if you want to practice your drifting. All right, now we're going to see how it handles. We do a couple of tight turns here in the soft sand. I'll have it in normal soft sand mode and maybe come in and out of drift mode a few times. See if we can get the back end to slide a little bit. And we did get a little sliding in. I got some turns in here. The kids are in the back. My wife is filming. Note, this is the first time I've had a camera person other than myself, so that was nice for a change. Now before I share my impressions here, I'll first say that here on day 1, I did not have the truck dialed in. I did not have the optimal settings for drifting. That happens more on day 2, and it's a notable difference in some of the settings that I had, and I'll talk about that later. Let's first talk about this day 1. All in all, the family had a great time. You can hear us laughing, we're screaming. It's like we're at an amusement park. Of course, I'm the driver, so I'm not noticing all these bumps and the rocking as much as my passengers are. But again, the truck is really handling here. You put the pedal down, it just churns and claws and pulls you forward through the sloggiest of sandy parts. The turning radius is pretty tight, Suspension is as good as you can expect in these conditions. Now, one small drawback is you do notice the weight, the 7,200 roughly pounds of truck here. You can feel it at times, but you also feel the 830 horsepower making up for it and hauling your Rs forward. It's a unique combo of weight, power, speed, and agility that you're feeling. All right, so having a good time driving around this morning, and I did finally figure out the drift mode. I was set too high up yesterday, so the trick to drifting, have the right settings, get yourself a little bit of speed, and let her rip. See? Whoa. Whoa. Nice. All right, let's see, we're going, how fast are we going? We're going 25. Let's see how this works here. Oh, damn. Back the other way. Whoa. Oh. We're kicking up some sand. Yeah. That is fun. Yeah, it cracks me up. So yes, go with drift mode, confirm you have traction control completely off, set your ride height to standard, maybe even one setting lower to low ride height, and get yourself hauling 25 miles an hour, maybe a little more, when you start your action. And don't worry, this truck will not flip on you going 25 in the sand. With the heavy batteries loaded along the bottom of the frame, it's just really not possible. It's really stuck to the ground. So just get out there and have some fun. All right, so that was fun. Now, one more thing I want to do. I want to see how well this accelerates from a dead stop, and I'm going to try it in different modes. I'll do standard mode, soft sand mode, and drift mode, and see how fast can I accelerate from 0 in this stuff. Now, in case you didn't see my 0 to 60 video, here's how you launch the Rivian truck. You put your left foot on the brake first, then you put your right foot all the way down on the accelerator, and when you're ready to take off, you just pop your left foot off the brake. All right, now we're in all-purpose normal driving mode, standard height, and we'll see how this goes.
No, I wasn't fast.
My son was right, that was not very fast. So of course, I'll take this chance to remind you that this is the fastest truck in production in the world, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. But obviously in the sand, in regular all-terrain tires, you're not going to fly off the line. So what's the point of my demonstration? Well, it's simply to show you how the truck responds in different driving modes to sudden acceleration in soft sand conditions. So here in all-terrain mode, which has traction control on, you can see the traction control in action. The second the truck accelerates and feels its tires spinning, it pauses itself for a moment to regain traction, and it modifies your acceleration going forward. So we'll run that demonstration again, only in a different mode. All right, now we are in off-road drift mode. Here we go. Now here in drift mode, you can also see the traction control kick in, only it's a little bit less. So let's dive into the drift mode here to understand what just happened there. Let's read the description of it. Drift mode allows more slide while off-road in snow, sand, and loose dirt. This mode delivers increased power to the rear axle while reducing power to the front, and traction control is also reduced. Now here in this table, you can see how every drive mode has a default traction setting, but there's other settings you can pick within that mode. And notice that although drift defaults to off, you can also go in reduced mode. And if you watch here, when you move into drift mode, it prompts you, do you want to go with reduced or traction totally off? And I likely set reduced here, not really taking a good look at it. And as we watch the acceleration in drift mode one more time, clearly you can see the traction control happens, but it's a little bit reduced. It's a little less from what we saw in all-terrain. Now we'll test our acceleration in one final mode, soft sand mode, and here we will see a difference. But let's quickly read what soft sand is about. Soft sand mode maximizes vehicle performance and capability in deep sand. This mode uses a unique traction control setting, minimal stability control support, and reduced regenerative braking to optimize vehicle handling. And when we look in that traction control table, we'll see that with soft sand, there's only one stability setting, and that's soft sand special setting. All right, we are in soft sand mode, and I'm going to floor it and see what happens. Are you ready?
Yeah. Oh my god, my phone dropped.
So the difference is noticeable. You can tell the tires just start spinning like crazy right out of the gate. Now the question is, does that make us any faster? And that honestly, I don't know, but let's compare the last two next to each other. We'll put soft sand mode on the bottom here, drift mode on top, and let's see what happens. So which mode here was faster off the line? Honestly, I have no idea. I didn't set up any markers for distance. I didn't have the camera at the same angle for both shots. It wasn't very scientific. But in the end, I just want to get you a good view of how these different modes take off, how much sand do they throw, how much does the traction grip. I'm going to just say that it looks like soft sand mode gets you going a little bit faster, but I think that's just the perception of the tires spinning so much. Logic tells you that traction control in the drift mode should get you going faster. All right, now that we're out of the back dunes area, we're on flat packed dirt. We're gonna go ahead and air our tires back up. And you saw this in my last video, so I won't walk you through all the details, but this is our onboard inflator that comes with the Rivian R1T truck. And I can go ahead and say that I wanna go to whatever PSI, it's set to 48. And all I'm gonna do is air up all 4 tires right now. So all you gotta do is hit go, and it's going to inflate to 48. I don't even have to hold it. I'm just going to sit here and wait. So that was a lot of fun. Now we had to end a little bit early yesterday. I had to get the kids back into Pismo, into town for the Pismo Beach Clam Festival. So I came back today by myself early just to shoot this last segment and give you my final conclusions. So how do I wrap this up? Well, let me share a couple things that I observed this weekend. One, this place is pretty amazing. I mean, sand dunes by themselves for miles and miles and rolling hills like this are awesome. But the fact that it's right up against the Pacific Ocean, you can hear the waves crashing right now. Actually, you know what? I just saw a whale breach as I looked over my shoulder. There's whales and dolphins out there, so you can't beat the location. Two, I figured out that drift mode wasn't really working for me yesterday. Some of the footage, it didn't really slide out too much. This morning, I realized I had the truck set too high. So if you're going to be in drift mode, you got to come down to standard height. The highest height limits your speed to 20 miles an hour. I was wondering why I couldn't get going fast enough. I also believe that on day one, I had the traction control reduced, but not off. So when I did standard height, drift mode this morning, and made sure the traction control was completely off, man, my tail was flying all over the place. It was so much fun. The other observation I have is that it gets kind of bumpy out here, a little bit bumpier than I thought it would be. There's a lot of ruts, a lot of tracks. Now, one, it's the weekend, but two, there hasn't been a lot of wind lately. It's the wind that's that smoothing factor that can fill in the ruts, the tracks, and the holes. Haven't had a lot of wind lately, busy weekend. It's really bumpy out here. So, I'm bouncing around all over the place. Another observation is I would not be afraid to go talk to the park rangers. Yesterday, I had a park ranger come up to me. She wanted to talk to me about my truck. We talked for over a half hour. I answered questions about the truck. She gave me a lot of tips about what to look out for, how to be safe out here, how to have fun. I asked her, can I go as fast as I want out here? She says, you can go as fast as you want out here. I said, can I do, slide outs and donuts and all that crazy stuff? She said, yes, you can. But then more importantly, I asked her, how do I make sure I don't fall off a cliff and, crack my skull or my truck open? So she gave me a lot of safety tips. And that's the last thing I'll leave with you. Someone can tell you, be careful out here, there's sudden drop-offs, and you're thinking, sure, I'm not going to just drive off a cliff, but that's what happens. You actually cannot see these drop-offs coming. The way the sand looks, especially if there's just a little bit of wind kicking up, creating a little bit of mist of sand, you can drive right off a cliff, and some of these out here are pretty steep. So don't be complacent. Always have your eyes dead ahead of you, double checking. If you don't know what's coming over a hill, make a turn, come alongside of that hill so you can look over. Just don't be surprised if there's a sudden drop off, and they're all over the place. So I think that's all I have left to share with you today. I guess in my final statement, I'll encourage you to get out here to Oceano State Dunes. Such a great place, such a great part of the country. You got to come and see it. All right, with that, I will thank you for your time today. I'll see you on the next video, and you have yourself a great EV day. If you enjoyed this video, I'd encourage you to hit the like button down below and subscribe by hitting the subscribe button or red subscribe text. And that way you can follow along with all my EV life stories.